everyone? It's me, Stephen, with StoryTime with Stephen. Welcome back to another video. I'm excited to have you back. Today's story, the title is Do Not Be Afraid. I repeat, do not be afraid. We can use that phrase in a lot of areas of our life today. So let's go ahead and unpack it and let's get to it. Stick around. Hey, what's up? And we're back. Welcome back. Again, I'm Stephen with StoryTime with Stephen. It is story time if you guys didn't know by now. It is story time. And in today's story, again, we're going to talk about do not be afraid. Again, we can use that phrase in almost every area of our life where we're timid, where we're faced with intimidation, right? Wherever we're lacking anything in terms of not being able to accomplish something or not being able to overcome something. We can use that phrase in every area where we have weakness. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to come from the Bible story of Jesus, of course. And it's in the book of St. John, chapter 6. It's verses 5 through 12. And when we read through those scriptures, I'm not going to read it myself just to save time, but when we read through those scriptures, we see that Jesus is rolling deep. And what I mean by that is not only is his 12 disciples with him, but he got 5,000 other men with him, not including women and children. The Bible just says 5,000 men are with the Lord, right? And they've been following him because of who he is. They believe in their heart that he is God, manifested in flesh, right? So they saw him do all these miracles and they're just following him around town to see what he's going to do next, right? And they're hungry and they're thirsting after the works of the Lord, right? The manifestation of the work of the Lord. It's kind of like us in today's time. We know that God is calling us, is telling us, is directing us, is instructing us to do certain things in life, but it seems like we have no gain. So this is where they are, the disciples and the 5,000 other men that are with Jesus and his disciples. They've been following the Lord. They've seen many things, but it's starting to get late out now, right? And the Bible said that there's a Sabbath day that is coming up within hours of this time, right? And so everyone is hungry. Everyone is hungry. They've been following Jesus all day. Even the disciples have been following Jesus all day. Jesus doing miracles, doing all kind of wonders, healing sick, raising the dead, casting out demons, doing all kind of stuff. And they're famished. They're ready to eat, right? And so Jesus perceived that they were all hungry, and Jesus asked his disciples, hey, do we have anything to eat? And one of his disciples said, hey, yeah, we have a little bit of money. We can run down to the market and buy some food, but how are we going to feed 5,000? And then another disciple said, hey, Jesus, well, there's a little kid around the way over there that has 2 fish and 5 loaves. We can divvy that up, but how are we going to feed 5,000 men plus the women and children, right? And again, it's kind of like us in today's time. We have very little when we know that God has called us to do a whole lot, right? We have the vision in which God has given us. We have the desire of our heart. We see where we're going, or at least where we want to go, right? But we have so little, right? And that's all that God needs, though, you guys. Wow. God only needs your little to make it much, because he took those 2 fish and 5 loaves after blessing it, right? The Bible said that his disciples went to go get the kid, took the 2 fish and the 5 loaves. Jesus took it and he blessed it first, right? Is that what you working with, blessed? Or is it something that you chose to do and you want God to bless it? Maybe that's why it's not working, right? Maybe that's why you're not seeing any progress, right? Because if God blesses it, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're faced with, no matter what the Lord has instructed you to do, when you know it's God, you're blessed. When you know it's of the Lord, it's blessed. No matter how little it is. Remember, they only had 2 fish and 5 loaves, y'all, to feed 5,000, not including their wives and their children, just 5,000 men, okay? God can take your very little that you have and cause it to multiply like never before. Cause it to become fruitful in a way as if you had more in the beginning, right? No matter where you're at in life, no matter what you're up against, if you have the faith to follow him, the very little that you have will become much. You will become the head and not the tail. You become above and not beneath. You'll become the lender and not the borrower, right? That's biblical. If you believe in that, that is for you. Anyhow, they had the 2 fish, 5 loaves. The Bible said all of them became full. All of them got full off of the 2 fish and 5 loaves. God kept producing. God kept multiplying it until they got full. Are you hungry? Are you hungry for that which the Lord has set before you? Or are you intimidated to even ask for more, or intimidated to even go forth in the things that he gave you? We have to learn to grow where we are. Don't be afraid on what you have. Don't see yourself as insufficient. Don't see yourself as inadequate. Don't compare yourself to anyone that is doing the same thing that you're doing, but you see yourself as lesser than them because they seem to have more than you. You see what I'm saying? Let's look at it like this. The further down you go, the further down you're buried, the higher you will go. So for instance, in order for a builder to build a skyscraper, he has to dig, feet under the ground, like hundreds of feet under the ground, right? Depending on how high they go, right? So for instance, like in Dubai, Burj Khalifa, that goes hundreds of feet underground first, right? Like 100 feet underground. And they build the foundation because it's like a mile high. So the further down you're buried in the Lord, the more impossible your situation look, the little that you have that you just seem like you can't even make it to the next hour or the next day or the next week, because it seems like your situation is pretty much irrelevant to God because you don't have anything. The further down you go, the higher God will exalt you. The Bible says, humble yourself, man, before the Bible. It doesn't say man, but it says, humble yourself before the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. When you humble yourself, that means God is taking you low, right? He's stripping you of selfishness. He's stripping you from whatever you're struggling with mentally, physically. He's stripping you from yourself, from the flesh, right? In order for him to exalt you his way, okay? Don't be afraid on what you have, because what you're doing right now, God is leading you. God is pushing you forth. If you have a dream, if you have a vision, regardless of what your current state is right now physically, that's not who you are. Despise not small beginnings, the Bible says, right? Don't despise small beginnings, right? Because God only needs very little, right? He only needs very little for you to gain much in him, right? For instance, a mustard tree, right? Is probably one of the smallest seeds in the entire world, but becomes one of the biggest and most productive trees in all the planet. Becomes one of the most beautiful trees in all the world. But it starts out as one of the smallest seeds in the world. But it becomes, when it's full grown, an amazing tree. Right? An amazing, beautiful tree. The Bible says for the birds of the air will come and lodge in the branches of this tree. Well, it's the same with you. The very little that you have, just look at that as a mustard seed. If you plant that and you believe God and you know that what he gave you, what he put in your heart is of him, he's going to take it. He's going to take it. He's going to bless it. And you're going to see fruit in ways that you never thought would be possible. And you're going to think that it wasn't possible just for the simple fact you're going to remember on what you started out with. But you're going to know just by that, by God blessing you, you're going to know that you only need very little. God only needs very little in order for you to succeed much in him. All right. God bless you. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you.